In this mini-series, I'm going to show you step by step how to detail your car using this, my 2010 BMW 320i. I'm going to show you what equipment you need, I'm going to show you what tools you need, I'm going to show you how to detail the wheels, the interior and the exterior. So let's jump in. So in this specific video, which is part 1 of 2 of the basically mini series that I'm running on how to detail your car, I'm going to show you how to detail the exterior. The interior will be shown in part 2. So let's start with what equipment you need to detail your exterior. The first and most fundamental piece of equipment that you need is a pressure washer. This is basically something that you can use to rinse your car before and after a wash, which really helps you to remove a lot of mud before you come in with a wash mitt and soap, and really just makes the whole detailing experience a lot easier on you. If you don't have a pressure washer, you can use a hose pipe, but a hose pipe is the minimum requirement if you want to be doing a detail in a relatively quick manner. You can use buckets to just pour water onto the car, but like I said, a hose pipe or a pressure washer really is just one of the fastest ways that you can get through it, because there are a lot of steps to it. So reducing time where we can really helps with just completing a detail in a reasonable amount of time. The next pieces of equipment that you're going to need, or tools that you're going to need, is 2 buckets. One to wash the wheels and one to wash the body. You can use a 2-bucket method for the body if you own a higher end car and you're really trying to reduce the amount of micro scratches that you're putting on the car. You can use that method, and if you're someone that's not familiar with that method, I'll basically introduce it. So the 2-bucket method basically uses 1 bucket for soapy water and another bucket for clean water. Basically what you do is, after you complete washing a section of the car, you take that wash mitt and basically rinse it off into the bucket filled with clean water, put it back in the soapy water and continue washing. This method really just helps you stop the transfer of dirt from one side or one section of the car to the next, and is really effective if you're really trying to cut down on the amount of micro scratches. But using 1 bucket is also something that's really doable. But for lower end cars and detailing on a budget, the 1 bucket method does do the job quickly. Next, you're gonna need 3 types of brushes: a wheelbarrow brush, a wheel face brush and a detailing brush. The wheelbarrow brush really just helps you get into the wheelbarrow, which is an area that is really neglected when people just do normal washes, and an area that really needs a lot of aggravating if you're gonna get it cleaned because of how neglected it normally is. So a barrel brush is really a necessity if you're trying to detail your car and clean as many areas and reach as many areas as possible. If you also have a car that is relatively low to the ground, it can be difficult to get a bulkier brush inside the fender lining, so a wheelbarrow brush does also help in those kind of scenarios to get in those tighter areas. So your exhaust tips, a wheelbarrow brush can also help you just get in there and clean even the smallest exhaust tips. A wheel face brush is really self-explanatory, really just for cleaning the wheel face and the tire wall. Really just a basic soft type of brush does the job effectively and gets your face and tire wall looking clean, depending on how strong your shampoo is. You use the small detailing brush for getting in those tighter areas like your wheel nuts and your center caps and stuff like that, areas where the face brush really just can't get into, and that also accumulates a lot of dirt over time because normal car washes don't get into those areas, and that really just builds a lot of brake dust. So having something to be able to get in those areas and get them clean is really helpful. The last 2 bits of equipment or tools that you'll need is a microfiber wash mitt and microfiber drying towels. The wash mitts, you basically use it to clean the car, and it's really important for it to be microfiber for you to once again avoid putting micro scratches on the car. Microfiber material is really good at just like holding on to the rocks inside the material and letting as little rock as possible get onto your actual paint when you're applying pressure and washing a car. The drying towels also need to be microfiber for the same reason, just to avoid micro scratches when you're trying to dry your car after washing it. Now let's get into the types of chemicals that you need for this type of detail. The first chemical that you need is a wheel cleaner. This is basically just a chemical that you can use to break down brake dust that accumulates on your rims and wheel barrels, and that makes it easier to basically get in there with your different types of brushes. Really just dissolve some of that brake dust, making it easier for you to get in there with your brush. You don't even need to put that much elbow grease into it, just kind of melts off because you've already put that type of degreaser on it. The next chemical you're gonna need is a heavy duty bug cleaner and tar remover. Basically does the same job as the wheel cleaner, but instead of breaking down brake dust, it breaks down dead bugs and tar that can accumulate on your car body. Let's say you're driving through the night on a summer evening and there's a lot of bugs flying onto your bumpers and stuff like that, or you're driving on the new road that's been constructed and a lot of tar is flinged onto your paint. You really need a chemical that can break that down before you come in with your soapy water, and that really makes it easier for you to wash off without putting that much pressure into it, which also helps you to reduce the amounts of micro scratches you're putting on the car because you're putting less pressure when washing. You don't need to put a lot of effort into cleaning bugs off your car if there's already been a chemical that dissolves and eats away at those types of things. Next, and arguably most fundamental chemical that you need for detailing your car is a good car shampoo. A good car shampoo really, once again, comes back to micro scratches, just really reducing the amount of elbow grease and effort and muscle that you need to put into washing a car, because it's something that really does the job for you, makes it easier for you to detail your car, and leaves you with a cleaner finish at the end. Car shampoo is really essential for cleaning any type of car, and it's something that can really affect the way your car looks at the end. A quality shampoo really does go a long way in how effectively you clean your cars. Next is wheel shine, which is relatively self-explanatory, but it does go beyond that. If you clean your wheels with water and you leave them out in the sun all the time, over time this can lead to cracks developing in your tire wall, and your tires just really looking old and faded. So beyond the purpose of just making them look shinier, they are a type of coating that protects your tire walls from aging and cracking like that, and really improves your tire life that much more. So really essential for the functionality part of it, but also essential for just achieving that finished detailed look for your tires at the end. Next, you need some type of polish compound. There's a whole different range of polish compounds for a whole different range of applications. It really just comes down to what you have and what you want your polish to do for you. For instance, there's hand compound and machine compound. If you have a machine, obviously you want machine compound. If you don't have a machine, obviously you want hand compound. That really just makes it easier for you to hand polish your car. There's also different types of polishes. Polishes for removing deep scratches. Polishes for just making the clear coat shinier. Polishes that seal your paint. This part is really just you doing your research as to what type of polish you need and what application you want to use that polish for. And finally, you need some kind of sealant once you finish polishing your car off. It can be some kind of sprayed on or applied on ceramic coating that you put on your paint, really just to help it with water beading, help it be more hydrophobic, making it easier for you to wash it in the future. This is not really a necessity, but it is something nice that does add a bit of a deeper shine to your paint once you've done detailing it, and also the benefits of it being hydrophobic really makes it easier to just wipe your car off after rain or for just doing maintenance washes on your cars. Really just makes it everything a lot easier, but not a necessity, right? So now that we have everything we need, we can go outside and start with washing the wheels. Right, then for your wheels, the first thing you're gonna need to do is obviously rinse your wheels off with either your hose pipe or pressure washers, just to get a lot of that loose grime off the wheel. The next step is to spray your wheel cleaner onto the wheels after rinsing them, basically giving them a few minutes for the wheel cleaner to soak into the wheels and start eating away at that brake dust. After letting them soak for a few minutes, then you come in with your wheel barrel brush. Basically, you want to go in and aggravate your barrels as much as you can, getting behind your spokes, behind your caliper if you can, if there's enough space there. Basically just making sure you're cleaning your barrels as thoroughly as possible. It's just to make sure that you're getting as much of that brake dust off that's probably been building up over years as possible. After you're done with your barrel brush, you're gonna come in with your face brush. doing the same thing, making sure you're paying as much attention you can to detail, just controlling the movement of your face brush, making sure that it's getting in as many places as possible, cleaning as many nooks and crannies on your wheel faces, in between your spokes, really just making sure you're cleaning as effectively as you can. After you're done with your face brush, you're gonna come in with your detailing brush in the smaller, tighter areas like your wheel nuts and your center caps. With wheel nut, you want to make sure that you get your brush on the wheel nut and you start moving in a circular motion just to make sure that you're getting as much of that grime out of there as possible. You can also use your detailing brush for tighter areas, even between your spokes, on your wheel lip, stuff like that, like you see me using here. Basically making sure that you're leaving no surface on your wheel untouched and making sure that every surface has been thoroughly cleaned by some type of brush. Then finally you come in with your microfiber wash mitt, just basically just giving it a once over after you've gone through it thoroughly with all the brushes. Finally, after you're done with the rims, you move to your tires, making sure you scrub your tires as much as possible with your wheel face brush or any other types of tougher brush that maybe you may have, making sure that you're cleaning it as effectively as possible and letting the shampoo also do its job. If you have a good shampoo, scrubbing it into the tires as much as possible, making sure that it eats away at the dirt buildup that can happen on your tires. What you see on my wheels here is brake dust that is accumulated over years and years of this car not being cleaned. This is because this is a second-hand car, obviously, and the previous owners seem to have really neglected washing it. That's why you see a lot of this heavy baked on stuff that no matter how hard I try to scrub it, it just won't go away. That's something to where I need to sand the wheels and just completely respray them. But with your car that may not be the case. It might just be some simple brake dust that just needs a bit of elbow grease to get off. So I do encourage you putting as much work in as possible and trying to remove as much brake dust as you can from your wheels and leaving them as clean as possible. But then if there is just stuff that is way too stubborn, then you know that you just need to sand your wheels and have them resurfaced. Now that we're done with the wheels, let's move on to washing the body. Obviously, once again, the first step is just rinsing the body off with your pipe or your pressure washer, really just getting a lot of the loose dust off before you come in and do physical contact with your wash mitt. Right, then there are two main things to remember when washing your body. Number one is how you move your wash mitt, and number two, the order of how you clean your car. So starting with how you move your wash mitt, you want to make sure that you're moving your wash mitt in straight lines and straight lines only to minimize the amount of micro scratches that you're putting onto the paint. You don't want to be doing a lot of that swirling motion that you see a lot of people just washing their cars do. You want to always be moving in straight lines. This is really essential, and it's a fundamental of detailing a car. It's the first thing that you learn when you're detailing cars. It's just make sure you're moving in straight lines. So then number two, the order in which you wash your car. Since we know that the dirtiest part of the car is the bottom of the car, because those are the parts of the car that are the closest to the road and all the nasty things that can flick off the road and come onto the paint, you want to make sure that you're starting at the top of the car and moving down and not reverse. You don't want to be starting with your front bumper and then move to the roof and then move to maybe your side skirts. You want to make sure that you start with all your surfaces that are facing up, basically your roof, your bonnet, your boot lid. Make sure that you start with those because those are the cleanest areas of a car, and then start moving down. What I normally do is just basically start with the greenhouse, basically where the windows are, that section there, and then kind of move down from there and just moving at those levels, making sure that I'm not taking dirt from places lower on the car and putting them on places higher on the car unnecessarily. You don't want to see your wash mitt moving from your side skirt to the top of your windowsill. You really want to make sure that you're moving from top to bottom and that you rinse your mitt off as frequently as possible every time that you finish a specific section of the car, to make sure you're not taking dirt from that section, moving it on to what would have been a potentially really clean area. Those two things are really key in washing cars and are the fundamentals of having a great detail at the end and not adding any unnecessary micro scratches. So then let's see how I apply those two rules as I wash the car. you're drying your car, you also want to kind of follow the same rules that you would have been following when you were washing it with your soap. Move in straight lines from the top sections to the bottom sections, making sure that you're not doing any circular motions, making sure that you're not moving from the bottom to the top. Really just basic stuff, just really trying to minimize the micro scratches you're causing, because this is a stage that is really crucial, and this is a stage where a lot of micro scratches can happen because you're using a dry microfiber cloth and you're putting it onto the paint. Here you might also want to use some sort of lubrication, maybe some spray on ceramic coating or instant detailer, stuff like that, just to make sure that you're not putting a dry microfiber cloth onto your relatively dry paint and just scratching it up. Right, now that we're done with washing and drying the body, let's move on to polishing it and dressing the wheels. Right, since I forgot to buy the polish that I was supposed to buy for this video, I'm not going to be polishing my car, but I am going to be putting a layer of ceramic on it. I just have some basic shield spray on ceramic that's really easy to apply. Basically just spray it onto the car during or after drying it off, really just putting on that layer of ceramic so that it's easier to wash in the future. For dressing the tires, this depends on the type of tire dressing that you have, the type of tire shine that you have. Mine is just really easy. I just use some Meguiar's applicator pads, put the tire shine on the pads, and then basically just apply the dressing onto the tires. It's really just a quick and effective way to do this. But yes, this does depend on the type of tire dressing that you have. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial on how to clean the exterior of your car. Stick around for part 2 of this tutorial where I'll show you in depth how to detail the interior of your car. And until that one, peace out.